Welcome to the OVW Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. I am the Walrus, Brian Hines.
I am Jackman Oaks.
Today we are getting into all the action from OVW Rise 1274, emanating live from historic Davis Arena on January 11th, 2024.
We'll also talk about the OVW headlines, and we have a lot of breaking news in and around Ohio Valley Wrestling.
And finally, we will hear from you in the fan zone later on. But first,
I'm supposed to say here, we have a little bit of a script this week. Tiny Brian wants me to say that we are nominated for the 10th Annual Carney Award for Best Podcast. I will not say that. I will say that we are the unofficial winners of the 10th Annual Carney Awards for Best Podcast. We were there at the ceremony just because they called it off. We held a 10 count. There was a referee.
Stood outside the bar theater in the cold.
That is right. We were named winner over the weekend. Sorry that no one else showed up. But we are the unofficial winner of the 10th Annual Carney Awards. And not to deviate from this script here, but that is what I'd like to say.
And yeah, you're right. I should have just put that. My apologies. I should have edited it. And we will, in fact, come to the actual ceremony when they have it, just so they can acclaim our victory.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But we are still honored.
I would think that at some point that would mean that we would have Comedy Award-winning belts.
Best podcast belt.
Best podcast belt.
Best podcast belt.
So there we are, unofficially.
And there's two of you, so it should be a tag team belt, I guess.
Right.
In all seriousness, though, whenever they do reschedule the Carney Awards, we will be sure to let you, dear listener, know, and we will be in attendance whenever that announcement is finalized.
We most certainly will. We kid about a lot of things, but we are sincerely thankful for being nominated for this award, so we really appreciate it.
Up next on the feed, we'll have a watch-along episode, me and you, Brian.
Yeah.
Watch-along episode.
That's right.
We were honoring a new signee at Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yes, Mickey James.
Mickey James, in case you managed to not hear it somehow, if you're an OVW fan, Mickey James has joined Ohio Valley Wrestling in a full-time capacity, serving as, I believe, creative director and head of the women's division.
And producer for the whole dang show.
Producer for the whole kit and caboodle.
Which is a big deal, really.
So in honor of that, we sat down, watched a great match from her OVW days, and that will be on the feed on Thursday.
Yes, it will. Yeah, we had a good time.
And as you guys mentioned earlier, we are going to do a new segment here at the top of the show where we just kind of cover OVW headlines. At some point, I want to nice like some music, some ticker, some for the OVW headlines. But so yeah, why don't you guys get into it?
As we kind of mentioned here already, Mickey James joined the OVW team in full-time capacity as the creative director, producer, head of the women's division, head of booker of the women's division. We talked to Maria earlier, I guess last week. We've crossed into a new week here. We talked to Maria last week.
Yeah, and this was something that kind of threw us, and we felt like we needed some clarification on this. So Amazing Maria was kind enough to phone in and talk with us, so that was where we were able to come up with an emergency episode last week to kind of break things down and let you, the viewer or the listener, as the case may be, know what's going on in the world of Ohio Valley Wrestling.
The two things I kind of took away from that interview is, Maria's still there. That was a big one.
Yes.
I know that wrestling is a world of transit. There's a lot of moving parts all the time. But Maria, on camera and off camera, is a huge part of OVW, crowd favorite at OVW. And I know that a lot of fans' minds instantly went to that she had been replaced or let go or what have you. That is definitely not the case. You can hear it in her voice that she's more present in OVW than ever and very excited for the next stage or era of OVW, as she kept putting it, and in her work with Mickey James.
Yeah, that was one of the things I noticed most about our brief phone call with her was the enthusiasm in her voice was very thick. So I know that she is very pleased about all the things that are going on. I mean, we know some of it, but I'm sure that there are many more things that we don't know, and
even things she told us we're not allowed to know.
Yeah,
she didn't tell us what we're not allowed to know. She just told us we're not allowed to know things.
Right. So that we still have other news to look forward to, but it's a very exciting time for Ohio Valley Wrestling fans, and I'm glad that we're able to be a part of it and keep you guys informed and moderately entertained if you don't have something more important going on.
As far as Mickey James goes, I feel like her presence at the Rumble, She kind of came out, was present on camera during that, present on commentary during that. We have the big press release last week that she will now be full-time working at OVW. When do you expect to see Mickie James in front of the camera at a OVW television taping?
Well, I mean,
I think it's got to be sooner rather than
if
later.
she follows Mick Foley's suit, it could be as early as this Thursday, because he was there at the Rumble, and then that next Thursday he was on camera, as we will get into here in a little bit. But I would fully expect to see Mickie James address the crowd this week. If she doesn't, I will be pretty surprised.
Before we move on to Mick Foley, a couple of things. The OVW YouTube page has kind of become the premier place to watch OVW.
Right.
I think it still airs live on Fight TV, but it is no longer available for free replay on Fight TV.
Which is bullshit.
However, it is easier now than ever to access on YouTube.
True.
I think that is a really good segue from talking about Mickie James, because you were watching live on YouTube this past week, and Mickie James, obviously very enthusiastic to be at OVW, stopped by the YouTube chat for a little bit.
Yeah, just enough to say hey and, tell everybody thank you for such a warm welcome. And that kind of interactivity is something that is new to me as a viewer, and I appreciated that. So I will be watching the YouTube live feed whenever I am not at Historic Davis Arena.
And you don't know who's going to show up in the live feed. Might be Behinds, might be Mickie James.
You just never know.
So Mick Foley, as you had mentioned, he kind of came in tandem with Mickie James, the Rumble. She was on the commentary booth for the women's division Rumble. He was on the commentary booth for the men's division Rumble. His role in OVW moving forward, as he put it, a few free Thursdays in January and February, he called himself a talent evaluator.
Yes, which we saw firsthand later on in the episode, and it was an entertaining segment. I wonder where we're going to go with that. We'll probably get back into that a little bit more later, but for now, Mick Foley is part of OVW as a talent evaluator. What that means in its entirety?
We mentioned that the OVW show is easier to find than it ever has been on YouTube. It seems that with kind of the push forward in the digital space, OVW has given their weekly television show a name. WWE Monday Night Raw, AEW Dynamite, OVW Rise, Ohio Valley Wrestling Rise is the name of the new, the branded name of what we've known as the weekly OVW TV show.
That's right. Onward and upward. It's time to rise.
And then one last little thing here before we delve into all of the matches. January 20th, this Saturday, will be Great Lakes Championship Wrestling's event, It's Okay to Stare. A lot of talent at OVW and Great Lakes Championship Wrestling. Even as we saw in the Rumble, Kirksys was injured at a GLCW event by Jay De Niro. Jay De Niro, Kirksys, when he arrived back in OVW, took his revenge on Jay De Niro for something that happened at a different promotion.
Yes.
So not only are we seeing a lot of talent being shared between these two promotions, but we're even seeing things that happen at one show affect things that happen at a different show.
That's true.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So for you really, really rabid OVW fans, or for people that don't have anything else to do, want to spend their Saturday night watching a good night of wrestling, GLCW's It's Okay to Stare is this Saturday, January 20th.
Do we know where we are able to see that online? Or if it's a pay-per-view, how would one access that?
My understanding is not available live. You can go, if you feel like going to Wisconsin in January, you can actually go there. But they do put it out for sale afterwards. So go look up GCLW or GLCW's social medias and all that, and I'm sure they can tell you exactly how to get it. But they push this as a live first event. That's part of... Okay. And they really do have such a connection to OVW. That's why I thought we should probably at least mention it.
That is a good call. Good call.
And if you are listening from Wisconsin, wait until the summer when it's warm, because we're going to be up there eventually. That is the plan as of right now.
Yeah, we're coming to see you.
Coming to see a GLCW event. We need a couch to stay on. I need a couch to stay on. They're sleeping on the floor. Do you have an ad this week, Tiny Brian?
Oh, hey, I forgot to put the ad in here. Yeah, we'll be back right after this. Hey, folks, Tiny Brian here once again, and just letting you all know about Bluegrass Homefront one more time because I can't stop talking about it. It is Kentucky Music and Stories. It is coming back. I'm going to put a marker down right here because I know he's listening. Bluegrass Homefront returns in March. There we go. I've said it. We're going to do an episode. We're going to do our first episode in March, probably the last of March. But keep watching. Watch those feeds. BluegrassHomefront.com, wherever you get your podcasts. And now back to the OVW Podcast.
Welcome back to the OVW Podcast. My name is Jackman Oaks. He's still
Brian Hines. Pleased to make your acquaintance, by the way. So the first match of the night was a non-title match. It was the Vision Orion versus OVW.
Not to interrupt I thought we were going to do the dark matches, even though I forgot to put them in the notes.
Do you want to do the dark matches?
Yeah, let's talk.
I just wanted to say a couple things about dark matches. I think we can knock it out really quick.
Okay.
Actually, I noticed that the dark matches this week, they are not part of Rise. So if you're watching OVW, what is called OVW Rise on the YouTube show, you did not see them. I would go back seriously and watch the live recording under the live playlist on OVW's YouTube page for the whole amount of action, for the whole night worth of action from Davis Arena. I noticed this week that there were a lot bigger names in the pre-matches. Star Rider was there, Ari Alexander and Shalance were there. Usually the pre-matches are like one big name and one like up-and-comer, like a guy that they're trying to kind of get over. These are all very established people this week.
Yes, they were.
And also I'd like to point out, while we're kind of covering this, Shalance and Ari Alexander, that was not the match that I wanted it to be because it was kind of a little off to a weird, slow start. Got to be really physical, really, really loved it as it went on. Here, 100% for an Ari Alexander and Shalance Royale angle. A lot of matches between the two of them. I think that they are two of the women that are the most capable on the entire women's side of the roster, who will like really, really, really get the short end of the stick a lot of the time. Those two girls are smash mouth. Those two girls are physical. Both of them can wrestle beyond
all stars.
Yes, both of them can wrestle beyond the slot that they're given. So I'm really, really looking forward to this series, hopefully series of matches between the two of them, where they can really use each other to sharpen each other's edge, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shalance Royale is probably the most criminally underrated wrestler on the entire roster, regardless of gender.
Yeah, they could be doing so much more with her, and
that gimmick holds her back.
You think?
I really do. I really do. I really think that gimmick holds her back.
You think just drop it all together?
You can't. You got to work your way out of it because she's been doing it for so long. But it's just a little too comical for her to be accepted as a true threat, and she can wrestle like a true threat.
That is a good point.
So I just kind of, I hope that maybe these are two of my favorite performers to watch. Two of the most capable performers on the entire roster. Really, really, really hoping that they can bring out the best out of each other in the coming weeks. Really looking forward to this, and I hope it makes its way onto the main show because they deserve it. Deserves to be on the main show.
Agreed. Just another example of two prime members of the women's division who are just as talented and strong a performer as anybody.
Yeah, right. So let's go match one here, Brian Hines.
Match one of the dark matches was
no the
real ones.
The real ones, yes.
The ones that were during the
the official show, OVW Rise, the newly minted OVW Rise.
Adjust notes. Bout number one was Orion versus OVW Heavyweight Champion Shotgun Tony Gunn.
From the very beginning here of the night, something that I noticed in the main show is that a lot of these pairings kind of seemed, some of them kind of seemed like they came out of nowhere, especially Orion and Shotgun Tony Gunn. But when you have legit stars on your roster, you don't have to have a lot of build-up to make me want to watch the match. I didn't need weeks of Orion and Tony Gunn going back and forth to say, hey, I want to watch an Orion and Tony Gunn match.
No, just starting off the show like that.
And that's like the story of the night, really.
Yeah, and just seeing those two, just announced at the very beginning, it's like, ooh, you know what? That's going to be a damn fine match.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of, I kind of like call them like video game pairings tonight, where it's just like, I didn't know that I wanted to watch those two guys wrestle, but I really want to watch those two guys wrestle.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me.
Seriously, two of the best in-ring wrestlers in the roster here between Orion and Tony Gunn. So there's no surprise that this kind of set the night off with a bang, so to speak. A click, click, boom.
And take note that this is within a few weeks, maybe a month or so of Orion's new attitude change and new name change. And one of the things that we mentioned the first day our first episode back after he went with Orion was Orion is known for his belt. And then the very first match of the night, he's in a non-title bout versus Shotgun Tony Gunn. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe that'll be a little bit of foreshadowing for what's to come in the weeks and months ahead.
I could definitely see Orion getting plunged into any one of the. I don't see why he couldn't be in the heavyweight championship picture. I just think that with some of the less established guys, Orion could pull some really, really good matches out of them. So something of like with one of the lower belts, I think he would be able to roll through Rush Division championship, or something like that. I think it would be really fun to watch him with some of those smaller guys, some of those up and coming guys.
Sure. And I mean, that coupled with the fact that he's sitting under Malachi Black's learning tree these days is just making him that much more dangerous. So the matches are going to get better and better as time goes on. Shotgun
Tony Gunn's finishing maneuver is called the what is the name of his finishing maneuver? It's like a rolling elbow.
You asked me too fast. Tiny Brian. What is the answer?
I don't know, guys.
Oh, God.
Brian Kinnison, where are you? We need you. Stevie J.
We need another person named Brian.
Yes, we do. The kill shot?
Kill switch.
Yeah.
The kill
switch. That's what it is.
That's it.
Sorry, guys.
Kill shot.
We host a podcast about this promotion, believe it or not.
We're producing on the fly.
This is non-alcoholic beer, even. And we cannot come up with the name of the kill shot. Tony Gunn's kill shot, it's like a rolling elbow. He ends up winning, hitting Orion from Orion's coming down from the top rope. Tony Gunn hits him with the kill shot from the top rope. Really great kind of maneuver. I thought it really protected Orion too, with him just getting a little overzealous and Tony Gunn being able to scout it. After the match, Real One has a video interruption. How do you feel about the video interruption in general in wrestling? This is the first time we've ever talked about this.
It is a convenient way to change direction or advance a particular story while you're in the middle of something else. Or if whatever is going on right now, it is an easy way to bail on that if something goes wrong or an angle just isn't working or something and you call an audible and, let's do a video interruption. But I understand they've got their place, and some of them are better than others. And
as far as video interruptions go, Real One's video interruption this evening was top tier.
Yeah.
I didn't really get the Enzo thing when he was part of the main roster in WWE.
Yeah.
It didn't really click for me. It's something about this level of OVW bringing this like loudmouth like northern guy to OVW really, really clicks for me, and the promos have gotten that much better for me, even though they really haven't changed in 10 years.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same poop, different scoop as far as that goes. But as far as people who can talk,
I did like him saying that he's phony Gunn because he has no T.
Yeah.
And then not an Al Snow balls chance in hell is another. That one's a little more on the table, but I'll still allow it.
Yeah.
I'll still allow it.
It's just good to have somebody who can talk smack as well as Enzo, and there are not a whole lot of people in OVW that have that particular skill set.
No.
And right now I can only think of one, and that would be anybody?
Mr. Tony Evans?
Correct.
We'll talk about him later.
Yes.
Great segment from him tonight, by the way.
Can't wait to get to that.
Always a pleasure.
As I've said before, said it from the first moment we saw Tony Gunn and Real One stare each other down. Give me that match. I'll deal with a couple video interruption promos while Enzo is apparently waiting for a street hot dog in New York City or something, whatever he was doing in that video that he was filming. But I want the match between Tony Gunn and Real One very, very, very badly. Very badly.
I'm sure we'll see it sooner or later. I'm just hoping that in the meantime, Enzo remembers to wear a coat because he looked really cold in that promo.
He did. He looked like he was going to ask me for $5 and a cigarette. Shane Mercer is behind the camera cutting a promo on Cal Hero after the conclusion of the Tony Gunn and Real One segment there. Another match, as I said, like the first one between Orion and Tony Gunn. Had no idea that I wanted to see Shane Mercer and Cal Hero wrestle. After the proposition was floated in front of me, I wanted nothing more than to see Cal Hero and Shane Mercer wrestle.
It's like if you order like HelloFresh or something, and they just kind of give you two random things, and you don't expect either of them. But once like you kind of take a look, and it's like, you know what? Those ugly ass tacos look like they might be all right.
Yeah.
We'll give this a shot. So.
Are you calling Cal Hero or Shane Mercer an ugly ass taco?
No, I am
I was
not
going to say those two
either
boys
of
spend
those,
way too much time in the gym for that.
No, not at all. I'm just saying sometimes life.
I don't even think those boys are allowed to look at tacos with the way they work out.
No.
Bout 2, kind of again continuing a trend that I've said about not only the promo that we just saw, but the first match, Mammoth, Donavan Cecil versus Jack Vaughn. When you have legit stars, when you have people that people want to see, it doesn't take 4 weeks of build up for you to get excited about a match.
No.
The Tony Gunn and Orion, didn't know I wanted to see him. Shane Mercer and Cal Hero, didn't know I wanted to see him. Probably no more was that exemplified than in this match between Jack Vaughn and Donavan Cecil.
Yeah, it's no secret that we're big fans of both of these guys.
Yeah.
I've been watching Jack Vaughn on a local level at the Spot Monkey shows going back a few years, so I was pleasantly surprised when I saw him over on OVW, and I am a huge fan of the Mammoth. I think I said it an episode or two ago that I think that this year, 2024, is the year of the Mammoth, and I'm looking forward to it, and I love that orange singlet.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
Makes
That's
him
my favorite
look
ring gear.
like a world beater. Makes him look absolutely giant.
Mm-hmm.
There probably is no better wrestler than Jack Vaughn in terms of just his technical ability and his athleticism and his
old
smoothness.
school approach.
Yeah, and he just knows. I think one of his only downsides is how tall he is, because he is so physically imposing.
Yeah.
But if he was just a little shorter, he could be. Not that he's not already a bump and feed and full, but against someone like Donavan Cecil, it would have been. I would love to see just somebody feed to Jack Vaughn's ability that was just a little shorter than Jack Vaughn. That's just me nitpicking, though. Great match between the two of these guys. Jack Vaughn ends up picking up the victory because he is the veteran.
That's true. So it wasn't Donavan Cecil's night, but it
not a
doesn't
surprise
matter.
there, I don't
No.
think. You didn't bring Donavan Cecil out here to win. You brought him out here because it's fun to watch him pick Jack Vaughn up and throw him around.
Yeah.
Sketch 2 of the night, Cal Hero responds to Shane Mercer. He says basically that he's hurt, but he'll fight. The Cal Hero story.
Yeah. If there was an after-school special about Cal Hero, it would be called something to that effect. I'm hurt, but I'm still going to kick your ass.
Yeah. That's it. That's on his gravestone.
So that would take us to the third bout, which was Angelica Risk versus OVW Women's Champion Freya the Slaya.
Freya the Slaya came out looking fantastic. I did think that this match was I would have had Freya just like chokeslam her and win.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. Nothing against Angelica Risk. I just would have really liked just like a big, because this is the first time we've seen her defend, or second time we've seen her defend since she's become champion. I want to say it's the first.
It seems like it was the first because she wasn't active at the Women's Rumble. So I think it's the first, although it could be wrong.
I would just like to have seen her come out, big power move, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and that would have been fitting for somebody like Angelica Risk because we haven't gotten a lot of exposure to her yet.
Right.
So to see them both in a match in the middle of the first hour, yeah, I could have easily seen her just coming in and just choke slamming her and just boom, done.
Well, and it just would have been, it would have been a lot of fun. Like for no other reason than I think it would have kind of reminded everybody that Freya is this like huge presence and is like fearful and like is unlike any other woman on the roster. It would have reminded everyone of that, not only in kayfabe but the audience as well. But I just think that, like you said, we haven't seen a lot of Angelica Risk. I thought she got a lot of offense in, and I think that it just would have been nice to have that big kaboom. Freya's back. She's the champion. Watch out. That's just for me. That's just me, though. I don't book the show. I just come on the internet and complain about it. So what do I know? What do I know? Bout number 4, Carson Drake. Your boy.
Yes.
Your boy, Carson Drake. New haircut, Carson Drake.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Let me say Ryan versus Ryan Von Rockit. I don't either.
Okay.
Carson Drake versus Ryan Von Rockit. It goes two ways for me. I thought that he had a really great like Barry Windham thing going on.
Right.
Before.
I did too.
Not just in the way that his body's shaped and kind of how he wrestles, but the hair definitely helped with that.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of, do you remember like when Jericho went away and then came back in like the late 2000s and he cut his hair short for the first time and he just looked massive. He just looked so big and he really wasn't any bigger than he ever had been in WWE at least.
It was just a change of appearance.
It's just the change of appearance.
Yeah.
Carson Drake doesn't need the short hair to look massive.
No, he doesn't. And
I wanted it to be that Jericho effect.
Yeah.
I wanted him to look even bigger, but there's something, like you said, there's something missing now.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I get it. It seems like he's going with like Carson Drake as an on-screen presence is evolving, and now, as Brian has mentioned, he's started referring to him as the $1,000,000 Bitcoin man.
Yeah, I really wanted to adopt that. You're welcome to take that, Carson Drake. Please be the $1,000,000 Bitcoin man.
So
Bitcoin's down 6.5%. I just got an email about it earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back when I used to have some Bitcoin, I was never one of those douchebags. Trust me.
No, I do not have any of the coin of Bit. But I'll tell you what I do have. Anything I could ever want because Miso's got it.
They got Bud.
They're looking for Pops. You're looking for Mad Balls or whatever it is. Miso's got it.
They don't even sponsor this.
No, they don't.
You've known Carson Drake longer than anybody, though. Were you shocked at the haircut?
No.
This is somebody that, if we go back to the very early days of this podcast, you said Carson Drake will end up in OVW.
I did. First episode, I think, if not second.
I'm really surprised that there wasn't tons more Gaga in this match between Carson Drake and Ryan Von Rockit.
You would have thought, because there seems to be a ridiculous amount of nonsense that follows Ryan Von Rockit.
And
wherever.
Carson Drake, for that matter.
Yeah, that's true. But no, there really wasn't. I'm not going to say that I was disappointed, but I was expecting that, and it wasn't there, and its absence was noticeable.
There was a tiny amount of Gaga, though, and it looks like that the Von Rockets, even though they just got their name recently, looked like they had a little bit of a lady boner for Carson Drake. Looked like, and it looked like Ryan Von Rockit noticed it.
Could very well be.
It looked like he got a little jealous of Carson Drake and the way that Crystal and Katie were looking at him. And even in the way that the post-match celebration where Crystal and Katie usually come in and shower Ryan Von Rockit with adulation, there was a noticeable, a palpable amount of tension between the three of them.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that the Vaughn Rockettes may have reacted to Carson Drake like that, because he's a handsome and talented young man who walks around throwing $100 bills at people. So.
Do you think that pairing works better for Ryan Von if Crystal and Katie were to leave Ryan Von Rockit? Do you think that does more for Carson Drake or more for the Von Rockets?
Like, who do I think would get the better end of the deal?
Right. Or is that something you want to see at all?
I honestly kind of figured that the Von Rockettes would be a tag team in the women's division.
I thought so,
instead
too.
of just accessories to one of their male counterparts accompanying them to ring. But, what do I know? But I think that it would be a mutually beneficial relationship if Carson Drake were to be in league with the Von Rockettes, although I would think that if that were the case, there might be some sort of outside of the ring extracurricular chicanery, like during a match. The ref isn't looking. One of the Von Rockettes, I don't know, interferes or slips him like a foreign object.
Which is something that they don't really do with Ryan Von Rockit.
No, they haven't. I never really thought about it until we actually got into this discussion.
Mm-hmm. It's something that they don't really do with Ryan Von Rockit, but it's something I think you're right. They would probably end up doing for Mr. Carson Drake. I do think that Carson Drake needs something. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the Von Rockettes. But I think he needs something. I think he's figuring it out.
You're right, yeah, and I'm not going to speculate on what I think it may or may not be. But you're right, he's figuring it out. So we'll just sit back and watch and see what happens next week. But this is his fifth appearance on the OVW Weekly Show.
Yeah, I mean,
Something
couldn't be any more than that.
No, but I'm glad to see him getting worked into the regular rotation. And congratulations, man. It's great news for you, and it's great news for us as viewers.
If you haven't watched a Carson Drake match, no better time than tonight. Go watch this one from OVW Television 1274.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but the promotion that I had seen him in previously, the Spot Monkey Promotions from Southern Ohio, they are starting their new year off pretty soon. They're having an event in Russellville in February, and they're having another one that escapes me in March, and I can't remember whether he's going to be at those or not. So I will look into this, and I will get back to you.
And if you're the Southern Ohio area, Brian Hines has always spoken very highly of Spot Monkey Promotions. I have not been fortunate enough to make one yet, but I will eventually.
You will eventually. One of these days, I will get you fellas up there, and we will all have a good time in the Ohio.
Main event hour 1.
Oh, where are we? Let's see. The Iron Demon versus Shane Mercer versus OVW Rush champion, the Fanny Pack Kid, Cow Hero.
I already kind of mentioned that this was, from the moment I knew it was a possibility, something I was very, very excited to see. Shane Mercer is incredibly strong and incredibly athletic.
Yeah.
For somebody whose gimmick is a little
gladiatory,
it just goes. It's unremarkable, right? It doesn't. I don't remember it. There's a ton of guys who dress in leather, and a ton of guys that wear black, and a ton of guys that wear loincloths. Whatever. It doesn't matter because the guy is a specimen.
Definitely.
He doesn't even really need a bright whatever super memorable gimmick because you remember him for his ring work.
Right. But as far as ring attire goes, he kind of puts me in mind of Hercules Hernandez.
I could see that.
Especially from the LJN figure where he had the same type of trunks and stuff like that, but he had the ridiculous lederhosen.
Maybe he can join our other legend figures here one day.
I'm sure he will. He's awaiting in Ohio.
The if I had one complaint about the match structuring of this evening, it would be that I didn't think that the two, well, I guess it didn't matter because they're both non-title matches. But I still didn't. I still never really thought that either opponent, either Orion versus Tony Gunn or Shane Mercer versus Cal Herro, I never really thought coming in from the outside that they were going to win either anyway, even if it was a non-title match.
Right.
And part of the fun of scheduling a non-title match is that the champion can lose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wonderful way in the wrestling world to say, what if?
Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised that you scheduled two of them, one to open hour one and one to close hour one. They were both non-title matches, and the incumbent champion still won both matches.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter, though. I'm hoping that this is the beginning of seeing a lot more of Shane Mercer in singles matches. Up until now, we've really only seen him in the big multi-man matches.
Yeah, the last couple of pay-per-views, I believe, and maybe one other time. So not a whole lot yet, but I'm sure we will. And he's... from what little we've seen of him, he's already as strong a competitor as anybody else that OVW has had to offer to put on TV for us. So I'm looking forward to seeing more things from him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, I mean, you already know how we feel about Cal Herro because Cal Herro is just the best.
He is. He is absolutely the best. Best champion going in OVW right now. Probably gets the biggest reception by anyone not named Cashflow. So, yeah, really, really, we're big fans of Cal Herro here at the podcast. That goes without saying. We open hour 2 with a sketch, but it's an in-ring sketch. A lot of the OVW sketches are behind the scenes or off campus. This is a rare kind of in-ring talking segment from OVW.
Yeah, and this is the one that I was looking forward to the most or among the most, and I had most questions about, and that was... what is Mick Foley doing in OVW? Why is he there? What is his purpose?
To do the Dean Douglas gimmick. Come out and give everybody grades. He brought out a giant whiteboard.
Which is kind of like what Jack Vaughn had been doing previously.
That's true. Jack Vaughn ranked... He did that thing where he ranked the top 10 contenders, right? Mm-hmm. Remember Eric Darkstorm? He was number 10. That was a weird time in OVW.
It was.
Seems like such a long time ago.
Yeah. It was very weird, kind of awkward, and we've grown since then. And I'm glad because I feel like we're all better people for it.
So he gives 3 stars a grade here. Mick Foley gives 3 stars a grade here. He gives Jack Vaughn a B.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
He gives Cal Herro an A-.
Fair.
Because he doesn't want Cal Herro to be complacent. He wants him to work a little bit harder to earn that A.
Apparently,
so you almost got it.
Cal Herro's dad, Mr. Dave Herro,
my close personal friend.
Yeah,
Greetings,
Tiny
Dave
Brian's
Herro.
close personal best friend, Dave.
Hi,
Herro.
Dave. We miss you.
We heard from Cal that he knew Al from the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
He must have met Mick Foley, I assume, sometime around that same time.
I would imagine
I would love to go through Dave Herro's Rolodex and see who else is in there. Because Mick Foley here mentions that he's known Cal since he was a little tiny baby.
Yeah, I think there may have even been a photo on Facebook or social media somewhere that popped up where Cal was a really, really lead lad and Mick Foley was younger. So I'm sure that, yes, that was the case.
But this segment was really all about one man.
Superior Tony Evans.
This segment was brilliant.
Oh, I
think
loved it.
this. I meant to say this at the outset of the night. This was as good of an episode of OVW television, if not the best episode of OVW television that we've covered.
Yeah,
I'm really sad that we didn't get the chance to go. We took a week off this week. I'm assuming I would have liked it as much in person, but getting to watch it, the recorded version of it, this was as good as OVW television can be or has been.
Oh yeah, and the addition of Mick Foley is
Doesn't hurt.
No, not at all. It's perfect because if you've never seen a Mick Foley show, he will come and just tell stories about his time in various promotions from the big boys on down to the lowest of lows and everything in between. And he's so kind and he's so entertaining, so funny. So this is like a comedy show inside a wrestling show.
And
Like, love it.
Comedy in wrestling is really, really hard, unless you're as talented as Mick Foley.
Right. Unfortunately for Mick Foley, he is as talented as Mick Foley.
What grade did Mick Foley give Tony Evans after he gave Jack Vaughn a B and Cal Hero an A-?
That would be, as my dad would put it, a flag. He got an F.
Then Tony Evans, flanked by Jay De Niro, comes out.
Sure.
Confronts Mick
raising
Foley.
all kinds of hell. But Mick actually has a really good point. I mean, if he were giving out awards for hiding during the men's rumble, then Superior Tony Evans would get an A+ because he did an outstanding job of hiding underneath the ring until he had his moments that he was able to pick apart here and there.
He called him the Bret Hart of hiding. He said he's the best hider there is, the best hider there was, and the best hider there ever will be, which I loved. The change in Tony Evans. We talk a lot about that change, when wrestlers change, that change. We try not to, wrestling fans know what we're talking about, but here on the podcast, we just call it that change. It's never been done as subtly in OVW as Mick Foley brought out of Tony Evans tonight. We've been talking about what a babyface Tony Evans looks like. We saw a little glimpse of it a few weeks ago. It seemed to go away. We saw another little glimpse of it tonight. I want to know if Tony Evans can prove Mick Foley wrong.
We're about to find out.
He says he's going to go find the biggest son of a bitch. He didn't say that. That's my words, not his. He said he's going to go find the biggest son of a bitch in the locker room and challenge him to a wrestling match next week to prove Mick Foley wrong. I have a feeling. Do you want to make a prediction who that's going to be, Brian Hines?
I kind of figured that's where we were going with this, and I think I know what you're going to say, but...
You want to do it on 3?
1.
Tiny Brian, count us.
1, 2, 3.
Bo
Jay De
Amir.
Niro.
Donavan Cecil.
Bo Amir.
I thought about that too, but I thought you were going to go with Jay De Niro.
We know that Bo Amir is the biggest guy in the locker room.
Yeah, he is the face of fear, no less.
We know this because we were shown it several times during the Rumble.
Ginormous.
I think that I like, from a storyline perspective, where you're going. I like it a lot, actually. Him coming out and beating Jay De Niro, showing that's how he proves Mick Foley wrong by still cheating.
Right, yeah.
But I think that it would be a real loss of the work that they did on Bo Amir in the Rumble to say, I'm going to go find the biggest son of a bitch in the locker room and it not be Bo Amir. If he's really genuinely going to prove Mick Foley wrong, it's either going to be Bo Amir in my mind or it's going to be Hoda Pesos.
So somebody in a suit is wrestling.
Yeah. Bo Amir or Hoda Pesos. Those are going to be the two. Those are my two choices. Your prediction is Jay De Niro.
I don't know how it would come about, but I feel like if he is actually going to go through a character change like that, I could see a splitting of the pair.
I think that if the character change is going to happen, I think the pair does need to split. But I'm looking forward to this, and it's not just Mick Foley's presence, but Mick Foley was able to bring out me as a viewer wanting to actually genuinely see the change in Tony Evans. Because before, if he stayed one way or the other, I wouldn't have really cared. But now, I actually kind of care.
Yeah.
Crazy, a little bit of charisma, a little 40 years worth of ring experience. It's crazy what that'll do. You bring one of the all-time greats around, and then suddenly you're invested in the storyline. It's crazy.
Yeah, weird. Sketch number 4 features Beaches and Cream calling out the Outrunners for eliminating them from the Nightmare Rumble. So, what do you have? What are your thoughts on that? I'm not going to mention what our good friend Keith likes to call Beaches and Cream, but
what he yells at him from the stands on Thursday nights.
First time he did it, I almost spit my drink all over you, dude.
Shout out, Keith. The first and only fan of the podcast, Keith.
Yeah.
No, so this kind of goes back to that thing. Is like, did I remember that the Outrunners got rid of Beaches and Cream in the Rumble? Not really.
No, I didn't.
But
now
once
that they bring it up,
now that they bring it up, I'm like, yeah, sure. But it's because these are two groups of stars. This whole night was just stars versus stars, stars versus stars. And that's like a really, really, really good place to be if you're OVW, is to have guys at this level that your fan base genuinely wants to see wrestle each other.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed in this episode that we see it some, but we don't always get it, and sometimes we see it more than others, is there are a lot of sketches this week and where people do promos and address whoever it is they've got a beef with, and then that person gets a chance to respond. So that's another element to the storytelling that we haven't always seen from OVW, but we were able to see this week, and I'm hoping that that trend continues, because I feel like it's just as big a part as anything else as the matches and all that. So, and it allows for everybody to develop their mic skills.
Up next, tag team match, Bout 6 of the evening. The Destroyers versus the Golden Lions, the team of Big Beef and Big Zo versus Cashflow and Mahabali Shera. This is one of those matches that you book so that you can see big men chopping man meat. A lot of man meat going around in that match. A lot of man meat to chop.
You're going to make me put the explicit tag on this episode, aren't you?
I feel kind of dirty after hearing that, but
I have some hand sanitizer over here if you need it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a really hot shower when I get out of here.
Big Beef and Big Zo, one of the more formidable tag teams on the entire roster, former champions themselves. Two big dudes, two very, very athletic dudes, though.
Yeah, for as big as they are, guys. They move well and they're quick. And, you know, that if you're, if you're a big guy, you want to be able to have that. Not everybody can pull that off, you know, but these guys definitely do.
Not only that, this is one of the only matches where I thought that the title holders could have lost, because they're facing a former tag team champion team themselves, and Big Beef and Big Zo at any time have the crowd's support.
Oh yeah.
It's you kind of put the crowd in a tough spot whenever you put Mahabali Shera and Cashflow out there in terms of who they're going to root for. But it was probably like 35-65, which most Cashflow and Mahabali Shera matches are 99-1 in terms of crowd support.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yes, you're right.
Cashflow and Mahabali Shera end up winning, of course. The Golden Lions end up retaining their championship.
That's true. They did. Next, we had a rebuttal from the Outrunners. I feel like we're on like an episode of Judge Judy, where Judge Judy has made her ruling, and then you get to hear from one side, and the other side's part of the story. And so we get to hear what the Outrunners have to say in response to Beaches and Cream's words from earlier.
Everybody mad at each other. They're going to fight later. Yeah. That's all you need to know.
All y'all people be doing that.
Had a sketch as we came back from commercial break as the Bad Girls Club. We've already gotten to the point where we're picking on poor Dream Girl Ellie.
Which is a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me.
Leila Gray's her best friend. We know this.
Yeah, because she said it quite a few times, but it doesn't sound like she is really a friend, and she is actually the bad girl she is known as anyway.
The Leila and Tiffany, they go in for the big three-way hug. Leila and Tiffany look at each other, make eye contact, and roll their eyes behind Dream Girl Ellie's back after kind of convincing her that everything's peachy. Kind of seems like she's there not as a true member of the Bad Girls Club, but more as an insurance policy against the rest of the roster.
Could very well be, but I suspect that at some point they're going to have a falling out, and if and when that ever happens, God help the Bad Girls Club, because my money's on Dream Girl Ellie. Even if it was a 2-on-1 fight, I'm still going with Dream Girl.
Dream Girl Ellie could fight dudes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you missed the reel where I got a chance to ask her one question, I would suggest that you go and try to find that, because I can tell you firsthand that she is a very formidable presence. And quite frankly, I nearly peed a little, to be honest. So,
tell us about this next match.
The next match is Sophia Rose, Island Girl TT, and Hema versus the Bad Girls Club, Leila Gray, Tiffany Nieves, and Dream Girl Ellie.
I'm going to say this at the outset here of this match. Let's book Hema in a one-on-one. Let's book Hema in a singles match. We'll see what she can do. Only seen her in big multi-person matches so far. Saw her in a Rumble. Saw her in a Scramble match. She was great in both of them.
Who's her opponent?
Dream Girl Ellie.
Yeah.
Two girls are going to kick the shit out of each other. You kidding me?
Well, all right. do you still pick Ellie to come out on top?
She'll end up winning that match. Yeah. If they booked it next week, Ellie would end up winning the match.
I'm sorry. As far as Hema goes, I'm not easily going to forget her appearance in the Women's Rumble, where she came in and everybody thought she was going to be this badass and just clean house, and the Bad Girls just kind of pulled the low bridge, and she goes flying over the top
she had
rope.
A little,
and that was it.
As baby faces often do, she came out with a lot of hubris.
You're right. Yeah.
But when she got the wild card in the Women's Royal Rumble match and entered back in at what would effectively be 21,
right,
she was a powerhouse.
She was, but in terms of Rumble matches, sometimes the humor is what sticks with me.
Definitely.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's Rumble matches are wrestling's a buffet. Rumble matches are the ultimate buffet.
Yeah, something for everybody.
Little something for everybody. Little something for little bit of every kind of wrestling in it too. When they're done right. And in all fairness, both of the Rumbles from OVW's Nightmare Rumble were extremely, extremely well done Rumbles.
Oh yeah,
they really were. But Leila Gray, Tiffany Nieves, Dream Girl Ellie, the Bad Girls Club end up beating the team of Sophia Rose, the former Harley Jane, the Island Girl TT, and Hema. I've already I think that Harley Jane's come along very, very nicely as well. TT's been there since she showed back up on the roster. She's already a very well-formed veteran of wrestling at this point. Nice to have her in there with a group of, on the side of two people that we don't recognize as much at OVW. But not enough for the team of the Bad Girls Club.
Right.
Just really, just give me a Hema singles match. Even if it's on the pre-show. Just give me a Hema singles match, please. That's all I want. I'm a simple man.
One of these days you'll get it, I'm sure.
So I'm going to call this the main event of the night because there's got to be something. I'll complain about it later. Main event of the night, as I'm going to refer to it as. Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, the team of the
Outrunners.
Luscious Lawrence and Omar Amir, the team known as
Beaches and Cream.
Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, the team of the Outrunners, end up besting Luscious Lawrence and Omar Amir during this match. No surprise there. Want to end on a high note. Baby faces take the victory over the heels.
Actually, I was kind of surprised.
Really?
Well, I mean, not because I'm doubting the ability of the Outrunners. I'm a huge Outrunners fan. And I love their gimmick. I love their look. They're very talented. But they seem to come up short quite a bit.
They do.
Especially against...
It's definitely over the last few weeks, too.
Yeah. So you just kind of figured, oh, well, they're, probably not going to make it through this time. But they did, so congratulations. And if I had enough room to stand up and spin around, I would.
For those of you just listening to audio, the gentlemen have picked up two figures. And
Classy Freddie Blassie and the referee from the LJN collection.
That's right.
Yeah, the referee is participating in the bit. It's unusual, but we'll take it here at the podcast.
Didn't a referee participate? I've seen referees do the spin with the Outrunners before. I don't think it was an OVW, but this is in kayfabe.
Do we think Daniel Spencer's done the spin?
Officially, no. Unofficially, maybe.
Unofficially, backstage.
Yeah.
Off the record, he did the spin.
Yeah, the old tilt-a-hurl.
I think that it was the right choice to have the Outrunners go over here. They, like you said, have lost a surprisingly amount over the last few weeks. Their last appearances.
For them being as over as they are and as talented as they are, I feel like their record is skewed a little bit in the wrong direction. So it's good to see that the Bruce Lees of jet skis come out with the win.
I just thought it was a good thing to send the crowd home happy too, letting the Outrunners win, because we had plenty of time to get bummed during our next segment, the final segment of the night, EC3's Thursday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Why? Okay. complained about this before. Time to complain again. Why do we end shows with talking segments? Why do we end shows with talking segments that are pre-recorded or on a video screen? I'll give them credit. It did seem like EC3 was live this week. He did seem like they were responding back and forth to each other. I did like that. I do think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, his pre-recorded videos have not really hit like, at least in my opinion, how I think that they were meant to hit.
But I'm just gonna go through this real quick. Orion versus Tony Gunn. The Mammoth, Donavan Cecil versus Jack Vaughn. Angelica Risk versus Freya the Slaya. Carson Drake versus Ryan Von Rockit. Shane Mercer versus Cal Herro. Let's see. Big Beef, the Destroyers versus the Golden Lions. The women's match, Hema, TT, and Sophia Rose versus the Bad Girls Club. The Outrunners versus Beaches and Cream. That's 8 great matches.
TV says 8 is enough.
That's 8 great matches. 8 killer matches. A great night of OVW television.
Yeah.
And we're going to end with EC3's video call. Just seems a little misplaced in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like you and your friends were off doing some super fun stuff, and then
your mom called,
and you have a seminar that you need to do.
Yeah. You had to take your class.
Have you done your online schooling for the real estate today?
That seems like an incredibly personal experience from you, Brian.
Yeah, because I have done online schooling for real estate.
Were you?
That's kind of how this segment made me feel, because there were like a couple of core things that you have to go through and learn from start to finish, and some of the people, like the person who does the section on, say, finance, that person's awesome. This other person has their coursework is law, and they're about as exciting as a ham sandwich. And this kind of felt like, the seminar where I was probably tuned out and onto something else.
Not only that, but we got no real development.
No.
In the Overman storyline, we still don't know who the masked men are.
Nope.
The only thing that we got a little bit of is the suggestion that Luke Curtis, with the looming NWA title shot, might not be as committed to the Overman as the rest of the Overmen were.
Well, and why would he be? He's got a title shot.
I just thought I agree. I agree with that in kayfabe. From a fan's perspective or a booking perspective, I think it's weird for him to be the one that's going to break from the Overman after he used his mom to cheat against his best friend a few weeks ago. Just like, it seems like maybe I thought that Joe Mack was going to be the one that split from the Overman. I thought as we got further and further into the Rumble, I thought that Joe Mack might have ended up winning the whole thing, and that would have been why he challenged EC3 for the NWA title.
Right.
That's not what happened. Luke Curtis obviously won. That's why he's challenging EC3. We had a suggestion that something might change. No real development in the story, and then you killed the entire momentum of the night just because EC3 can't go on earlier in the night. I really can't help but think that EC3, no matter if he's wrestling or not, will not go on before the quote-unquote main event.
Actually, I think what happened this week was he was on break.
Well, I mean,
EC3 was on break from his day job.
With Ross and Rachel?
No.
Oh.
No, I've complained about this in the past. I don't like Friends. I'm sure all you Friends people out there thought that was a great joke. I don't like the Friends.
Why don't we pivot back into wrestling?
I was about to, and then we started talking about Friends.
So,
I just can't. I've complained about this on this podcast before. I know it's something that gets on your nerves as well, and if it's getting on our nerves, then it's probably been getting on viewers' nerves and people in the audience's nerves. Why are we ending a great night of wrestling with a talking segment? And this talking segment it seemed like we could have gotten it all out of the way in a 30-second backstage segment.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why it took 10 minutes.
Yeah, this was kind of drawn out and kind of awkward, and it didn't really advance any of the storylines other than to say that Luke Curtis isn't 100% in line. He's back on his own bullshit. He's not on the Overman bullshit.
We did get a match between Luke and EC3 at Tough Love, kind of a little bit behind the scenes thing, or I guess behind the scenes in kayfabe wise. Al can make matches for the NWA title while the title's in OVW.
Correct.
And Billy Corgan, Billy Corgan's a rock star. William Corgan owns the NWA. He insists on that. I promise that's real.
Except Al called him Billy.
They're calling him Billy again?
Well, Al called him Billy in the
Billy
middle
for
of,
short. They're friends.
Yeah.
They're on a first name basis.
And Al's big enough to where he can get away with it, and he can pretty well call anybody anything he wants.
Despite all of his rage, Al still beat that ass. There is a match versus Luke and EC3. I just thought that was a little interesting though. That if EC3 is wearing the national championship to NWA, that NWA has jurisdiction over it. But since the title is at OVW has jurisdiction over the NWA title.
I never really gave it a whole lot of thought, but I'm glad we know the rules.
That's
of the game.
why. Yeah, I'm glad that got cleared up.
There's that. They achieved that, so that was good.
Luke and EC3 will battle at the OVW pay-per-view Tough Love. That's on February 15th. I have a feeling over the next few weeks we will know not only the identity of those masked men that helped EC3. Might not know. I could see us not finding out until the night of the pay-per-view, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we'll know which one of the Overmen is breaking off from the Overmen. Looks like it's going to be Luke Curtis. All signs point to Luke Curtis. I have a feeling by February 15th we'll know if it's Luke Curtis or if it's someone else.
Well, the fact that it appears as though Luke Curtis is breaking from the Overmen makes me wonder whether if he's going to be moving on at some point soon, because I mean they're already tied in with the NWA. Mm-hmm. We've already seen the picture of him outside of a certain corporate headquarters for one of the other promotions.
Somewhere in Connecticut.
Yeah,
Somewhere in Connecticut,
and I believe in the Hartford area. But I just wonder about what's going to happen, because he's got as much talent and valuability as from a promoter's standpoint as anybody else does.
He is probably the most well put together total package wrestler on the roster right now.
Yeah.
And he's got a great look, great on the microphone.
Come out on top on the men's rumble, so
super good at mini basketball. We found that out when he came by the studio.
Yeah,
super duper
true.
good at mini basketball. We'll find all of that out in the coming weeks. That kind of concluded the episode. Like I said, goes out on a whimper, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Tiny Brian, can you clarify these notes for me a little bit, please?
Well, Jackman, it's time to go to the OVW fan site.
Okay.
Oh God, baby Jesus, here we are.
Oh Lord.
Let me pull up the things.
This is something that we're going to do from now on, right? We record on Monday nights, for full disclosure. We record on Monday nights, usually start about 8 o'clock. So that puts us going live on Facebook?
Yes. On our Facebook, on our page, and in the unofficial OVW fan zone.
So that puts us going live at about 8:45 or 9 o'clock every Monday night. If you guys are listening to this or you want to tune in with us one night, or join us live, we would really appreciate it. Do we have anybody live at the moment?
I think just Brian at this point.
Oh,
yeah,
right, just Brian.
I can see me now, so
we do have
shout out to me.
We do have, and it might not happen tonight if we can't get anyone to join us, and that's okay. We're just trying to get this thing off the ground.
Already got a second
baby
person.
Baby steps. Oh, second person who's joined us live.
Ellie English. Hello, Ellie.
Ellie, what up? What up, Ellie?
Hey.
So,
Ellie doesn't want a Bob Orton figure, I promise. She already has enough dumb wrestling stuff at her house. She doesn't want any more.
Ellie says, yo. So we also thought we'd take this moment. I saw one of the things that went down in the unofficial OVW fan zone, which is the unofficial OVW fan page, fan group on Facebook. Mm-hmm. If I put it in your all's text messages, if you want to pull that up and you can kind of
hold, please.
Look at that.
I don't even know where my cell phone is.
That's fine. Brian's got it.
Ellie is our top commenter on our Facebook page.
Oh, I'm not sure if that's true. But
No,
I think it's true.
All right.
She got the notification.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
So you're referring to Benjamin Coleman.
Exactly.
He had some thoughts that he wanted to share in the OVW fan zone, and we thought that we would take a minute and talk about what he had to say. Do you have those? You want to?
I have.
Can you read along? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it? I'll
Sure.
do it. So he writes, and I quote, "I think what I love about OVW is, number one, it's quality wrestling." Amen to that, brother. It's a local, affordable, weekly, family-first event compared to others that are $80 to $150 for a decent seat, $100 for concessions easily. These stories are just as good wrestling stories. They don't try to create these big blockbuster slogs with 30-minute monologues for 8 minutes of wrestling, which allows you to become fully invested in what's happening. That's the way I remember wrestling back in the 80s and early to mid-90s.
That was from Benjamin on the Fan Zone?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And you're absolutely right.
There's a reply there, too, that not mine in the podcast.
Do you want to read the reply?
Look down a couple images there.
I think it's that we all love OVW just as a fan's perspective from watching it, and everything comes across well. You can tell that they love what they do, and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, and that came from
Is that the one?
our friend Jason O'Hara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fan of the show.
Big fan of the
O'Hara.
show.
I also want to shout out to Benjamin, who is living in New England, and I had a friend who lived in New England for a long time, and that was something that she would complain about as well, Benjamin, is that the only time she heard people that sounded like us sounded like, I have a little bit of non-regional diction, but people that sound like they're from the South was when they heard it ironically, and it drove them fucking nuts. So keep fighting the good fight up there, being a Kentuckian living in New England, because I'm sure it ain't easy, brother.
Yeah.
And they sound stupid too. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's right.
We speak closer to kings than they do, buddy. So we've got 4 people joining us right now. If somebody is interested, do you have the prize over there, sir?
Oh, well, yeah. Let's.
Yes. Show the goods.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
We've got a Cowboy Bob Orton figure from the WWE Legends collections
Father of Randy Orton.
From
Yes.
Elite Collection Series 13. Great figure, fully articulated. The Elite figures are really, really nice. I'm a big fan of most of the Elite figures. A lot of them are very, very
This
cool.
particular figure it comes with boxing gloves because of the WrestleMania 2 boxing match he had with Mr. T.
But if you would like to win this figure, as well as like some stickers and maybe a T-shirt if we have one of those laying around here, you can, and whenever you see this video, if you're live right now or whenever it's reposted, if you would like to leave your address or DM us with your address.
Yeah, DM us. Don't
DM
put it
us.
in the open end.
No, put it out there for everybody to see. Be sure to tell us where your valuables are. No, DM us your address, and we will send you guys something cool. And we want to do this kind of week to week. So if this is your first time joining us on the fan page or on the Facebook or whatever, join us again next week. And tell your friends. Tell your wrestling friends, whether or not they live in Kentucky or wherever. We'll send it wherever.
I think what we should do for this particular week, we should make it a like and share kind of giveaway where you like the page or like this post and then like
share
it.
This is why you're on the social media and I'm not.
Yeah, that's right.
So all right, so we'll find a way to give that away. So, yeah,
well, let's talk about it right now. Is that what we're going to do? Are we going to do like this video and share? That means you're going to have to leave the video up.
No, we're going to leave this one up. I didn't say anything bad about a 9-year-old on this one, so we'll leave this one up.
Little mystery for our folks. And we're still in the podcast. You guys haven't closed.
Oh, okay. Well, the OVW Podcast, the 10th Carney Award-nominated unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, is produced by Black Light Moon Productions at Nut House Studios in Lexington, Kentucky. The OVW Podcast broadcast team is Jackman Oaks and Brian Hines. Hey. Our studio engineer and editor is Malachi P.S. Woodard. Executive producer is Tiny Brian K. Woodard. Senior producer for The Blimp is Victor Anderson. After watching Wrestlers on Netflix, visit OVWpodcast.com/podcasters to find all episodes of our unofficial Wrestlers After Show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, rate us 5 stars, and give us a review. You can also follow us at OVW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, X, our newly renovated TikTok page, and to the Davis Arena.
That's right.
Love you guys. Thank you guys so much. Don't give police your personal information. Test your drugs. See you later.
Thanks for listening.